YouTube, it's Maddie the Emptiness Scrapper. Welcome to my channel. If it's your first time, I'm so glad you stopped by, and if you're returning, I am super happy that you came back. Today I'm going to try a little bit of a different kind of video. It's more of a comparison, and any of you who have been on my channel before know that I feel I have too many water-soluble crayons. And one of the things I wanted to check out was to see if any of them are any different than the others, and if I could use them for different purposes and sort of make sense out of why I have so many. So I'm just going to go through briefly what I have and then do a little bit of a comparison. So here we have Gelatos, the first ones I've ever tried. I just have purchased a couple of sets, and gonna take a look at those. These are by Stablo. These are a children's branded set, but I did see a super fun video on them done on YouTube. I will link it down below. Marimani Small Art, I believe is the name of the channel, but I will link it. And I do feel these are super fun, just as much as she does. These are Prima oil pastels, and I became intrigued by them not only by a few YouTubers who really did enjoy them, but also because they are billed as oil and not water. So I wanted to see if there was any difference at all when you use them, and I'm going to check that out today. Last but not least was a super indulgent purchase, and that is my Caran d'Ache water-soluble crayons. And anyone who has done a little bit of mixed media probably heard of these. These are artist quality, which means they are light fast, which means if you hung your work on a wall, it probably would not fade. At least the light fast colors would not fade. Of course, there is little chance that I'm gonna hang any of these on the wall, but I saw them in several reviews, and I really just wanted to try them. And one day over the holidays, the holiday munchkins brought them to me, and so I am the proud owner, and I'm going to try them out a little bit for you. So anyone who has played with these knows that there are multiple brands of different kinds. Those are the ones I chose. Tim Holtz has some. Vicky Boutin has some. Scribble sticks, I think, are Dina Wakley. I wanted to try those just because it's such a cute name. Let me know if you have those scribble sticks and what you think of them. Anyway, I digress. Today I have prepared some papers, and I'm going to test these babies out for you. So here you can see I've just made 4 quadrants, and I'm going to test each of them in a different quadrant right in front of you so you can see one at a time. This is mixed media paper, and let me see if I can give you a little peek at that. Made by Canson. Nothing out of the ordinary, just what I use for my art journaling, things like that. And I thought it would be a good choice for playing with mixed media products. So I decided to bring a few of as close to the same color as I could find. I'll show them to you here. And it's a light blue. Blue's my favorite color, and I'm going to test them out. So first thing I'm going to do is scribble one in each quadrant. And I will start with the gelato. So gelatos are in a plastic casing. If you're not familiar with them, you unscrew it just like a stick of lipstick, and it's got a flat edge. So my first response to that flat edge is that I wasn't really as much drawn to it because it limits what you can actually draw with it. But if you're looking to cover a larger space, that's a good option to keep in mind. So I'm just going to scribble down this gelato, and it feels nice and creamy. Close it up and move on to the next. Next one is the Woody, and I'm going to scribble it right next door. And it feels quite a bit drier, but I do love using these. Gives you a nice load of pigment for both of those. Next up, I'm going to try the Prima, and these are the oil-based pastels. And this one is very creamy, lays down beautifully, and also seems to be giving a lot of pigment. And last but not least, the revered Caran d'Ache. So there we go with the Caran d'Ache, the artist's favorite. Feels more like a crayon, not quite as creamy as the gelato or the Prima. And I'm going to do a couple of things with it. So first thing I'm going to do is try to smudge with my finger. A lot of people like to know if it's going to smudge with your finger. We've got a little smudge going over here. Not too much, but I will give you a peek at that. Next, we'll try the Woody. Smudge with the finger. How about a little bit more in frame? Not much smudge going on, but I'll let you see that. Next, we'll try the Prima. And the Prima is quite a bit creamier and does give a little bit of smudge. And last one is the Caran d'Ache. And I don't see any smudge at all. This is not coated with anything. There's no gesso on it. I'll get to gesso paper later. Okay, so let's do it again. And what we're going to do with this section is the baby wipe technique. So I've got some baby wipes underneath, and I will pick one up and give you a look-see at how they smudge with baby wipes, and that'll also give me a chance to wash my hands, so it does double duty. Prima, definitely much creamier for the Prima, and a beautiful pigment load as well. And the Caran d'Ache is definitely a little bit drier, but let's see how they perform. And I'm just going to give you a closer look before I touch them this time. Forgot to do that before. So you could see what kind of pigment load. I know that they are not exactly the same, but they're as close as I have in the collections that I own. So let's see what happens. Let's take a fresh piece and start again at the top. Here's the gelato with the baby wipe, and that smudge is pretty good, but you can see the residue. If I rubbed more, I think it would disappear from the paper. So there you go. Let's try the Woody. Smudge around. Looks like there's more pigment. Really just seems as if I'm removing it from the paper, but if you do want to smudge it around, you can get it done with a baby wipe with either one of those. There is some sort of residue as to where the pigment was originally put down. Next, I'll try the Prima, and that seems to be a beautiful smudge, sort of more unified throughout, but any one of these will definitely lift. That's what it's doing. It's lifting it right off. And the last one is the Caran d'Ache. Let's see how it goes. And that's a very easy smudge, but also it did pick up quite a bit of pigment. So last test I'm going to try for the papers that have not been gessoed. And let me just write down what they were, just in case we want to take a look at it later. So this one we just did was the baby wipe. This one was the finger. And this last one, we're going to use some water. All right, so let's lay down our pigment and see what it does with water. Here's the gelato. Here's the woody. Just love these colors. Here's the Prima. Just scribbling around. And here's the Caran d'Ache. So, I'm going to give you another little peek at the colors before I touch them. Take a look at the pigment load, even though the colors are slightly different. And let's see what they do with water. Just going to make sure start some water there. And let's see how that releases. So that liquefies pretty well. The gelatos. Take a wipe to wipe that off and let you see. That's what it looks like. Look at all those shadows. Oh my goodness. Okay, try to peek behind the shadows. Here's the woody. Am I in the frame? Woodies are liquefying beautifully as well. What you do get to see, a couple of things right here, is when it starts to dry back, it looks like the gelato is pilling a bit and also shows a little bit of where the original scribbles were. The woody, either it's just a darker color or it just has a bigger pigment load. So leave me your thoughts in the description below to see if you think there's a difference there. Here we go with the Prima. Beautifully liquefying. Really very nice. Give you a look-see at that. Just cleaning off my water brush. There it is. And last but not least, oh my goodness, you just touch this and it melts. Absolutely melts. I'll tell you that difference right off the bat. Doesn't take much for the rest, but as you see it dry back, gelato is not looking as impressive. If you take a closer look there, you can see it pilling. We're going to look back later after they dry back. Right now, the Caran d'Ache is just beautiful, as are the others. But I'm going to set those aside to dry, and we'll come back to them perhaps later. Here are some papers that have been treated with gesso. I marked a G on the back so we don't get confused. And I'm going to do the same test and see if there's any difference. So, one at a time. Let's get started. This one is going to be the finger test. Let's lay down some pigment and see what happens. I can tell you the gelato is definitely going down much smoother on the gesso treated paper. Let's see if we get the same with the woody. No, the woody is still more crayon-like. Actually, you know, it is encased in wood. It may be a big, fat, chubby watercolor pencil in reality, and I'm just calling it a watercolor crayon. Here is the oil pastel by Prima, and it's still going down pretty creamy. This one I just want to mention is just like a crayon. There is no casing, and so you do get more product that way. Just a side note. Same with the Caran d'Ache. It is much thinner, but there's no casing at all, and so you do get more product. So laying the Caran d'Ache down on the gessoed paper, and we're going to see if any of them smudge with a finger at all once the paper has been gessoed. So here we are with Gelato, and Gelato does smudge a bit with the paper. Take a look-see. Right there. Here we go with the Woody. Not much happening. You can take a peek. I personally never smudge with my fingers, but a lot of people do. Here's the Prima. Actually, this finger is just not working for me. Let me just wash and dry them and use a pointer finger or a center finger. That will work better. I just am not capable. I want to dry it real well so we don't get any of the baby wipe interfering. But it does seem like the Prima is going to smudge pretty well. I just did not have a good handle on it. So here's the finger smudging action from the Prima. You can see, did move quite a bit. And we'll try the Caran d'Ache on the gessoed paper. And there's really not much happening at all. Slight movement, but nothing much to speak of. So let's clean up the fingers a bit. I'll use a clean baby wipe for the next one, and we'll move right along. So here we go. Gelato. Woody. Prima. Caran d'Ache. And a new baby wipe. And let's see what happens. Well, Gelato disappears. Woody pretty much disappears. Prima brightens up, lightens up quite a bit. And Caran d'Ache almost gone. There they are. We'll come back to them later. Last but not least, let's do the water test. Gelato. Woody. Prima. Caran d'Ache. And let's see what we got. Okay, so Gelato is making a little smudgy marks. Don't know if you can see that. liquefies fine, but not sure that I'm a big fan of how it liquefies. Woody also have a little bit of peeling going on, if you can see that. Prima also has a little bit of dotting or peeling or whatever you want to call it. Caran d'Ache, you just touch it and it liquefies. Just beautifully. Just beautifully. Take a look. And what you think. So, I'm gonna have to hold off on deciding how I feel about how these work. I think I'm gonna let them dry and come back in a different video and do a part 2. So I hope you enjoyed this brief demonstration, and I hope you'll come back. Thank you for coming. Subscribe, comment, and leave a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video. And above all, stay safe. Bye-bye, YouTube.